Today, the Obama administration made public top-secret NSA documents, revealing that the government has the ability and the authorization to analyze millions of phone records in the hunt for just one suspect. The release comes as top officials are expected to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee in a FISA oversight hearing. And this morning, Chairman Patrick Leahy had these strong words for an absent Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper.
We need straightforward answers. I'm concerned we're not getting them. And I appreciate it's difficult talking about classified programs in public settings, but the American people expect and deserve honest answers.
The Senate hearing comes just 1 week after a surprisingly close vote on a House bill that would have gutted the NSA's phone surveillance program. It ultimately failed. And of course, this all stems revelations about the NSA surveillance programs leaked by Edward Snowden, who is still holed up in a Russian airport. Let's bring in a friend of the show and senior fellow at the Center for Advanced Defense Studies, retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer. It's always great to have you.
Thanks for having me on. Good to be on.
So why is the administration doing this now, and what is the significance of what happened today?
Well, I think there's two things. First, these documents which are now unclassified probably should never have been classified to begin with, because it talks about fundamentally how things are managed within the context of legality. And again, when you start classifying laws, how do you avoid breaking the law if you don't know you're breaking it? So I think that's something we should have always kind of had an eye on. Secondly, with the Snowden revelations today regarding the training programs, this new thing that was revealed, I think, by The Guardian today, talks about the fact that they may still not be coming completely clean per Senator Leahy's comments. And let me say this and be very clear about it. I've had to testify about classified programs in open hearings, and then we had closed hearings. So it can be done. It has been done. And I think this is all about government officials not really wanting to come completely clean on what they're doing, because when it sees the light of day, it's not going to look very well on them or on the reality of what they're doing. And let me say this real quick. The other thing is, by doing it the way they're doing it, they're making it far more difficult to be successful. The Boston bombers got through the net because they're actually trying to get 12 fish on a given day, and instead of going to basically paring down the data to the size of a pond, you're basically going after 12 fish in the size of the Atlantic Ocean. Makes your job far more difficult.
Tony, you said something so important, which is that none of this can be overseen when there's secret law, when we have no idea what's going on. And if they're overclassifying and then declassifying, I take from that two things. Number one, what you said, it probably should have been classified to begin with if it's fine for us to read today. And number two, this debate that we're having, whatever you think of some of these leakers who are in the news and who are accused of criminal acts, this debate is good. This debate is healthy. This debate is unearthing new information so we can actually discuss what our government's doing and how we want it to do it. So looking at that, I want to get your comment on that vote specifically that Abby mentioned. It seems to me that we have not a left-right disagreement, but a top-down disagreement where Obama and Boehner and the leaders and some of the military establishment want these programs without any oversight or discussion. And then you have this grassroots uprising from both parties going against the usual partisan rules. I wonder if you could speak to that.
Absolutely, and it was a vote of the heart by congressmen, men and women, which is unusual. I mean, think about it. This was not left or right. This was, kind of like, what do you really feel about this? And this is what's important now. It's important to understand the context of what has been said in this debate. Now, let me be very clear so I don't get in trouble with my think tank. My think tank and the leadership in the think tank are for the NSA program, as am I on a personal level. With that said, we all take an oath of office to be obligated to protect and support the Constitution, which includes the amendments, 1st, 4th, and 5th in particular. So what we have to look at now is, why didn't the program actually catch the Boston bombers, if that's what it's supposed to be doing? And the other thing, they've actually pared down this 54 events that they've influenced down to about 12, and even that's down to about 1 right now. So again, the value here, this program is costing us $10 billion a year.
Wow.
Plus, if you count Cyber Command, that's 20. So is this a really good investment in our money? Let me say this as a human intelligence officer, case officer, I could take that money and really penetrate the bad guys and not sit at some keyboard hoping that I come across some strand that someday may be used in some obtuse way to maybe prevent a terrorist act.
Tony, I want to dig into that vote in the House a little bit more with you because you spoke with Jim Sensenbrenner. He's a really interesting vote in this all this. Obviously, architect of the Patriot Act, who's now voting against the NSA. Is he trying to stick it to Obama, or has he really had a change of heart?
Look, I spoke to him personally, as you mentioned, and when I spoke to him, there was not an ounce of political venom in his speech when we talked about this. He talked about 215. He talked about the intent. And again, I was on the cutting edge of data mining. I understand the issues. And when he talked to me about this, it was all about the fact that he wrote the law a certain way, expecting it would be obeyed a certain way, and that is not the case. So again, this is a Republican. He's conservative. I don't think this is a political issue at all. I think this is all about trying to rein in what he believes has become a program which is way out there regarding certain collection of certain